Decades have passed since Wonder Woman 1975 first captured our hearts and defined an entire generation of television heroes. But what happened when the cameras stopped rolling and the golden lassos were tucked away? Tonight, we journey through the years to reveal the stunning transformations, the hard-earned triumphs, and the quiet tragedies that defined the lives of this legendary cast. You will not believe how much has changed since the 70s. Lynda Carter as Diana Prince/Wonder Woman. Born on July 24, 1951, in Phoenix, Arizona, the former Miss World USA brought an undeniable grace and statuesque beauty to the role that would define her career. At the age of 24, Carter spun into the star-spangled costume for the pilot of the new original Wonder Woman, instantly becoming the definitive embodiment of the Amazonian princess. For 3 seasons, her portrayal balanced compassion with immense strength, creating a cultural phenomenon that provided young girls with a rare female superhero icon in a male-dominated genre. While Wonder Woman was invulnerable and radiated perfect composure, Lynda Carter faced significant professional and personal hurdles once the cameras stopped rolling. The massive success of the character led to severe typecasting, making it incredibly difficult for her to be taken seriously as a diverse actress or singer in the years that followed. The series itself had a turbulent history, shifting networks from ABC to CBS and undergoing a drastic change in time periods before being canceled in 1979. Behind the scenes, Carter later battled a private struggle with alcoholism, a vulnerability that stood in stark contrast to her on-screen persona. Though she eventually achieved sobriety and used her platform to advocate for recovery and mental health, Lynda Carter successfully pivoted back to her roots in music, reinventing herself as an accomplished jazz and blues singer with several albums and sold-out cabaret shows. She eventually embraced her superhero legacy, taking on roles in Sky High, the Supergirl television series, and making a cameo in the 2020 film Wonder Woman 1984. Following the passing of her husband, Robert A. Altman, in 2021, she became a poignant voice for navigating grief while continuing her advocacy for women's rights. As of 2026, at the age of 74, Lynda Carter stands as a resilient and beloved matriarch of pop culture, celebrated not just for the tiara she wore, but for the dignity she has maintained throughout her life. Debra Winger as Drusilla/Wonder Girl. Born on May 16, 1955 in Cleveland Heights, Ohio, the future Oscar nominee began her rise to stardom with a guest arc on the first season of the hit series Wonder Woman. At the age of 21, Winger took on the role of Drusilla, the younger sister to Diana Prince, who transforms into Wonder Girl. Her appearance in the 3-part episode The Feminine Mystique added a youthful, impulsive dynamic to the show, providing a foil to Lynda Carter's composed heroine and quickly becoming a favorite among fans of the campy 70s superhero genre. Despite the immediate visibility the role provided, Winger famously despised the character and the costume, feeling that the part lacked depth and dignity. Her time on the series was marked by a desperate professional struggle to break her contract, as she feared being permanently typecast as a fantasy sidekick. This early battle for creative control set the tone for her entire career. She became known as a fiercely independent and uncompromising talent who would rather walk away from Hollywood than submit to roles she found inauthentic. Her refusal to play the game contributed to a reputation for being difficult, but it also preserved her integrity as a serious dramatic artist. Debra Winger went on to achieve massive critical success, earning Academy Award nominations for her powerful performances in An Officer and a Gentleman, Terms of Endearment, and Shadowlands. After stepping away from the limelight for several years to prioritize her personal life and family, a period explored in the documentary Searching for Deborah Winger, she returned to acting with a renewed sense of purpose, including a starring role in the sitcom The Ranch. As of 2026, at the age of 71, she remains a celebrated and enigmatic figure in the entertainment industry, respected for a career defined by raw talent and a steadfast refusal to compromise. Christine Belford as Baroness Paula von Gunther. Born on January 14, 1949, in Amityville, New York, the actress brought a distinct patrician elegance to the role of the Nazi spy in the pilot film The New Original Wonder Woman. At the age of 26, Belford's portrayal of the Baroness, intelligent, icy, and ruthlessly efficient, served as the perfect foil to the wholesome heroism of the title character. Her performance in the 1975 production helped establish the campy yet sincere tone of the series, anchoring the fantastical plot with a villain who felt dangerously competent. While the character was a devoted operative of the Third Reich, Belford infused her with a commanding presence that made her one of the franchise's most memorable early antagonists. Beneath the cool exterior she often portrayed on screen, Christine Belford's personal history contained its own brush with infamy that far exceeded comic book villainy. In a bizarre twist of fate, she actually lived in the real-life Amityville horror house at 112 Ocean Avenue from the ages of 11 to 16, a decade before the grim events that made the location world-famous. Professionally, she faced the challenge of being frequently typecast as the Ice Queen, or the wealthy socialite, a persona that contrasted with her early days of scraping by in New York, where she once drove an ice truck to pay the bills. Despite her range, breaking out of the cool blonde mold proved difficult, though she secured a steady run of work in the 70s and 80s, including a regular role as insurance investigator Carly Kirkland in Banachek. Christine Belford continued to be a familiar face on television for decades, with recurring roles in hits like Dynasty and Beverly Hills 90210, where she played the mother of Steve Sanders. She largely retired from the screen in the late 2000s, stepping away from the limelight to live a quieter life. In her later years, she faced significant personal loss with the passing of her husband, actor Nicholas Pryor, in October 2024. As of 2026, at the age of 77, she remains a respected figure in cult television history, remembered not just for her chilling turn as Wonder Woman's first nemesis, but for a career defined by elegance and resilience. Gary Berghoff as Alan. Born on May 24, 1943, in Bristol, Connecticut, the actor famously known for his role in M.A.S.H. took a memorable detour to guest star in Wonder Woman. At the age of 34, Berghoff played Alan Ackroy, a bungling janitor who accidentally discovers a secret explosive formula in the episode titled The Man Who Wouldn't Tell. This appearance was a unique reunion for Berghoff and series star Linda Carter. Long before they were television icons, the two had toured together in a band called The Relatives, with Berghoff on drums and Carter on vocals. His portrayal of the nervous, well-meaning Alan allowed him to lean into his gift for playing innocent, neurotic characters, serving as a comedic foil to the show's superhero aesthetics. While his on-screen persona often radiated naivety and nervous energy, Gary Berghoff was a complex and multi-talented artist with a serious side that contrasted sharply with characters like Alan or Radar O'Reilly. An accomplished jazz drummer and painter, he often felt the weight of being typecast, a struggle that intensified after he left M.A.S.H. to prioritize his family and mental health. The industry found it difficult to see him as anything other than the bespectacled company clerk, limiting his opportunities for leading roles in different genres. Despite these professional hurdles and the intense burnout that led to his early departure from one of TV's biggest hits, he channeled his creativity into other avenues, becoming a patent-holding inventor and a respected wildlife artist. Gary Berghoff eventually stepped away from the Hollywood limelight to focus on his passion for art and animal preservation. As of 2026, at the age of 82, he lives a quiet and private life, largely retired from acting but remaining active in the art community. His detailed wildlife paintings have gained significant acclaim, allowing him to redefine his legacy beyond the screen. While he occasionally reconnects with fans through conventions or reunions, he has found contentment away from the cameras, celebrated today not just for the characters he played, but for the diverse artistic talents he nurtured throughout his life. Frank Gorshin as Orlick Hoffman. Born on April 5, 1933, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, the dynamic entertainer was already a television legend when he stepped into the world of Wonder Woman. At the age of 44, Gorshin portrayed Orlick Hoffman, a sinister toy maker who replaced key government officials with android duplicates in the memorable episode The Deadly Toys. His performance brought a chilling yet charismatic energy to the series, utilizing the same manic intensity that had previously made him a household name, while grounding the character with a distinct, eerie intellect suitable for the superhero drama. While he was celebrated for playing unhinged and frantic villains, Frank Gorshin was a serious and disciplined craftsman who viewed himself primarily as a dramatic actor and impressionist. He faced a lifelong professional struggle with severe typecasting following his iconic turn as the Riddler in the 1960s Batman series, finding it difficult to shed the image of the cackling antagonist. This pigeonholing often obscured his immense talent for mimicry and serious theater, creating a complex relationship with the fame that his villainous roles provided. He loved the fans, but constantly fought to be respected for his wider range of talents. In his later years, Gorshin successfully broke away from his villainous persona to achieve critical acclaim on Broadway, earning praise for his portrayal of George Burns in the one-man show Say Goodnight, Gracie. He remained active in the industry until the very end, lending his voice to animated series and delivering a poignant final screen performance in an episode of CSI Crime Scene Investigation, directed by Quentin Tarantino. Frank Gorshin passed away in Burbank, California on May 17, 2005, at the age of 72, from complications related to lung cancer, emphysema, and pneumonia. Beatrice Colon as Etta Candy, Amazonian princess. For that initial run, she defined the role of the faithful sidekick, endearing herself to fans with her bubbly personality and woo-woo in the television industry. When the series moved networks from ABC to CBS and shifted its setting to the modern day, the entire original supporting cast was dropped, and the character of Etta Candy was unceremoniously written out. This sudden exit marked a challenging period, though she found success playing a similar archetype as the roller-skating car hop Marcia Sims on Happy Days. While she was often typecast as the humorous, working-class friend, she brought a unique charm and humanity to every role, navigating a career that often placed her in supporting capacities rather than the lead. Beatrice Colon continued to work steadily in film and television for the next 2 decades, appearing in movies like High Anxiety and American Pop, and guest starring on shows such as The Love Boat and Baywatch. She remained a working actor until her health declined in the late 90s. In a poignant final chapter, she passed away in Los Angeles on November 18, 1999, at the age of 51, from lung cancer. She died on the opening night of her son's high school production of The Man Who Came to Dinner, a play written by her famous grandfather, leaving behind a legacy of laughter and memorable character work. Jane Kennedy as Louise. Born on October 27, 1951, in Washington, D.C., and raised in Wickliffe, Ohio, Jane Kennedy first captured the public's imagination as a beauty queen before breaking into Hollywood. At the age of 24, she took on the role of Louise in Wonder Woman, 1975, marking one of her early forays into scripted television during an era where she was rapidly becoming a pop culture icon. Her appearance in the superhero franchise showcased the undeniable screen presence and grace that would soon propel her to greater fame, making her a standout figure in the landscape of 1970s television guest stars. While her on-screen personas often exuded confidence and glamour, Jane Kennedy's real-life journey was defined by a battle for respect in industries unwilling to look past her beauty. She shattered a massive glass ceiling in 1978 by becoming the first black woman to host a network sports broadcast on the NFL Today, only to be unceremoniously fired by CBS in a move she later revealed was steeped in sexism and control over her career choices. Her professional path was further complicated in the 1990s by a devastating invasion of privacy involving a stolen personal video, a violation that led to her withdrawing from the spotlight to protect her family and mental health, effectively canceling herself from an industry that failed to protect her. Jane Kennedy eventually returned to the public eye, reclaiming her narrative as a pioneer for women in sports and entertainment. As of 2026, at the age of 74, she resides in California with her husband of over 40 years, Bill Overton, and remains a celebrated figure and grandmother. She recently cemented her legacy with the release of her memoir, Plain Jane, in 2025, which detailed her triumphs and traumas, finally allowing her to tell her story on her own terms and receive the flowers she was denied decades earlier. Lyle Waggoner as Steve Trevor. Born on April 13, 1935 in Kansas City, Kansas, the tall and handsome actor initially found fame as the announcer and comedic foil on The Carol Burnett Show, before taking on his most heroic role. At the age of 40, Waggoner began his tenure as Major Steve Trevor in the Wonder Woman television series, starring opposite Linda Carter. His casting capitalized on his classic matinee idol looks, allowing him to play the reliable romantic interest and military liaison in the first season set during World War II, as well as the character's son, Steve Trevor Jr., in the subsequent seasons set in the modern day. While Steve Trevor was the epitome of the straight-laced, courageous military man, Waggoner was naturally a gifted comedian with a self-deprecating sense of humor, a side of him that the serious role rarely allowed him to showcase. His career path involved a significant gamble. He voluntarily left the safety and immense popularity of The Carol Burnett Show in hopes of securing a leading man status, only to find that his role in Wonder Woman often relegated him to the position of a male damsel in distress who constantly needed saving. Despite the show's success, he faced the professional challenge of being seen primarily as eye candy, rather than a serious dramatic actor or the skilled comedian he truly was. Waggoner eventually transitioned from acting to become a highly successful entrepreneur, leaving a lasting mark on Hollywood that extended far beyond his on-screen performances. Frustrated by the poor quality of dressing rooms provided to actors on location, he founded Star Wagons, a business that revolutionized the industry by providing high-end custom trailers for talent, a venture that proved incredibly lucrative. He made sporadic acting appearances in later years, including a guest spot on That 70s Show, but largely focused on his business and his passion for sculpting. Lyle Waggoner passed away on March 17, 2020, at the age of 84, after a brief illness involving cancer. Cloris Leachman as Queen Hippolyta. Born on April 30, 1926 in Des Moines, Iowa, the prolific actress had already secured an Academy Award before she donned the crown of the Amazonian ruler. At the age of 49, Leachman brought a regal and protective gravity to the role of Queen Hippolyta in the pilot movie The New Original Wonder Woman, which aired in 1975. Her portrayal established the maternal yet authoritative foundation for the isolated paradise of Themyscira, providing the emotional weight needed to send her daughter, Diana, into the chaos of World War II. While Queen Hippolyta was stoic, dignified, and bound by ancient tradition, Cloris Leachman was famous for her irrepressible energy, comedic genius, and unpredictable public persona. Unlike the rigid Amazonian queen, Leachman thrived on spontaneity and was often described as a force of nature who refused to take herself too seriously. Her tenure as Hippolyta was short-lived. She did not continue with the role when the concept moved to a weekly series, a choice that reflected her high demand in Hollywood and a career characterized by constant movement between genres. She faced the perennial struggle of aging in Hollywood, but combated it with a fearlessness that saw her taking on daring, unglamorous, and often hilarious roles that younger actresses might have shied away from. Leachman remained a powerhouse in the entertainment industry for decades, ultimately earning a record-tying 8 Primetime Emmy Awards. She enchanted new generations with her memorable turns as Grandma Ida in Malcolm in the Middle and Mama in Raising Hope, proving her comedic timing remained sharp well into her 80s. She even competed on Dancing with the Stars at age 82, showcasing her enduring vitality. Cloris Leachman passed away in her sleep at her home in Encinitas, California, on January 27, 2021, at the age of 94, from a stroke, with COVID-19 listed as a significant contributing condition. Rick Springfield as Tom. Born on August 23, 1949 in Guildford, New South Wales, Australia, the future rock icon took on the role of Tom in the Wonder Woman episode Screaming Javelins, shortly after attempting to break into the American market. At the age of 28, Springfield played a naive and sweet-natured gymnast who becomes the unwitting pawn of a villain kidnapping Olympic athletes. His performance relied heavily on the boyish charm and vulnerability that would soon propel him to international superstardom, offering audiences an early glimpse of the magnetic screen presence that would eventually define his dual status as a musician and actor. Despite the wholesome and sunny exterior required for the role, Rick Springfield was fighting a private and lifelong war with severe depression, a shadow he later personified as Mr. D in his memoirs. While his character Tom was easily manipulated by external forces, the real-life Springfield was engaged in a struggle for credibility, fighting to shed the teen idol label from his earlier Australian success with the band Zoot. This era in the late 70s marked a difficult professional limbo where he faced financial instability and rejection, battling to be taken seriously as a rock artist just 3 years before his career would explode. Rick Springfield ultimately conquered both the charts and the screen, cementing his legacy as Dr. Noah Drake on General Hospital, and winning a Grammy for the anthem Jessie's Girl. He sustained a prolific career over the following decades, starring in series like High Tide and True Detective, while releasing consistently acclaimed rock albums. As of 2026, at the age of 76, he remains a vibrant and active performer, continuing to tour arenas and speak openly about mental health, proving that his longevity is fueled as much by his resilience as his talent. René Auberjonois as Kimball. Born on June 1, 1940, in New York City, this scion of an artistic dynasty established himself as a stage virtuoso before transitioning to Hollywood. At the age of 35, Auberjonois took on the role of Kimball, Steve Trevor's neurotic and skeptical assistant, in the pilot movie The New Original Wonder Woman. His portrayal provided a grounded comedic foil to the fantastical elements of the superhero narrative, using his sharp wit and distinctive delivery to turn a supporting administrative role into a memorable piece of the show's 1975 origin story. While Kimball was often flustered and subservient, Auberjonois himself was a commanding and deeply intellectual presence, possessing a Tony-winning theater pedigree that far outstripped the campy material of 70s television. He faced the perennial struggle of the character actor, the fight to be seen as a leading talent rather than just a quirky sidekick or an officious bureaucrat. Throughout his career, he worked tirelessly to escape the uptight official archetype he had perfected, navigating the industry with a workmanlike humility that belied his immense range and artistic heritage. René Auberjonois transcended his early typecasting to become a television legend, most notably as the fastidious Clayton Endicott III in Benson, and the soulful shapeshifter Odo in Star Trek Deep Space Nine. His voice work also cemented his legacy, particularly as the manic Chef Louis in Disney's The Little Mermaid. He remained active in the industry for decades, lending his gravity to shows like Boston Legal and attending fan conventions where he was adored by generations of viewers. René Auberjonois passed away at his home in Los Angeles on December 8, 2019, at the age of 79, due to metastatic lung cancer. Roy Rogers as J.P. Hadley. Born Leonard Franklin Sly on November 5, 1911, in Cincinnati, Ohio, the King of the Cowboys was already a living legend when he agreed to a rare guest appearance on Wonder Woman. At the age of 65, Rogers stepped into the role of J.P. Hadley, a cattle rancher and adoptive father in the episode The Bushwhackers. This role served as a nostalgic bridge between the golden age of Hollywood westerns and the television landscape of the 1970s, allowing Rogers to showcase his enduring charisma to a new generation while playing a character that felt instantly familiar to his lifelong fans. While J.P. Hadley was a fictional character, the role closely mirrored Rogers' real life as a man deeply committed to adoption and family, blurring the lines between the actor and the part. However, his time on set highlighted a sharp contrast between his conservative values and the changing standards of modern television. Rogers famously insisted that Linda Carter wear a more modest, Western-themed outfit rather than her standard costume for their scenes together. This adherence to his wholesome image was both his trademark and his professional struggle, as the decline of the traditional Western genre left him somewhat typecast and out of step with the grittier entertainment of the era, leading him to be highly selective with his later roles. Roy Rogers remained a beloved American icon well into his retirement, focusing largely on his business interests, including the successful Roy Rogers Restaurants franchise and his museum in Victorville, California. He made his final film appearance in 1975's Macintosh and T.J., and continued to make public appearances alongside his wife, Dale Evans, until his health began to fail. Rogers passed away at his home in Apple Valley, California, on July 6, 1998, at the age of 86, from congestive heart failure. Carolyn Jones as Queen Hippolyta. Born on April 28, 1930 in Amarillo, Texas, the versatile actress was already a Hollywood veteran before stepping onto the shores of Themyscira. At the age of 45, Jones portrayed Queen Hippolyta in the new original Wonder Woman, the 1975 pilot that successfully launched the beloved television series. Bringing a distinct regality and blonde Amazonian grace to the part, she took over the mantle to ground the fantasy elements with a performance of maternal strength and ancient wisdom. Her portrayal provided the essential emotional anchor for the show, setting the stage for Princess Diana's departure into the modern world. While she commanded respect as the Amazon Queen, Jones was engaged in a lifelong effort to shed the Gothic persona of her most famous character, Morticia Addams, from the Addams Family. The specter of typecasting was a significant professional burden, as casting directors frequently had difficulty envisioning her beyond the macabre glamour she had iconicized in the mid-1960s. Behind the scenes, her resilience was tested by a private and devastating battle with her health. Despite these challenges and the industry's tendency to pigeonhole her unique look, she remained a consummate professional, refusing to let public perception or physical pain diminish her creative output. Carolyn Jones remained active in the industry until the very end of her life, securing a prominent role as the power-hungry Myrna Clegg on the daytime soap opera Capital in 1982. Her commitment was such that she continued taping scenes despite undergoing grueling treatment for aggressive colon cancer, eventually acting from a wheelchair and playing scenes from her bed to complete her storyline. She married her partner, Peter Bailey Britton, in September 1982, determined to live her final days surrounded by love. Carolyn Jones passed away at her home in West Hollywood, California, on August 3, 1983, at the age of 53, succumbing to the cancer she had fought so bravely. The vibrant colors of the 70s may have faded, but the Wonder Woman 1975 cast remains etched in our hearts like a beautiful, distant dream. They gave us hope when we needed it most. Which cast member truly defined your childhood? Share your heartfelt thoughts below. Give this video a like and subscribe to join our journey through the golden age of Hollywood legends.